Hello, I'm Granville, Emerson, and welcome to Lidline Sports with my co-host, Seattle sports enthusiast, Renault Pepe Bean. What's up, bro?
Big up, big up.
Man, they may never have a series like the last NBA series. Well, then again, they may, where Cleveland just didn't show up like we thought they were going to show up. And the NBA is over.
Over.
We're in the doldrums of summer.
It's over now.
Looking for something to do, something to watch on TV. And guess what we got served up?
Big three.
Ice Cube's 3-on-3 league is underway. Already after the first game, dudes are needing that Obamacare.
Oh, wow.
We'll get into some more 3-on-3 talk about the big things going on there. And we'll talk about big things going on in the NBA. Trades, rumors of trades, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And we'll recap the NBA draft.
Yes.
We'll also talk about who we thought won the draft or lost. We'll talk about the Seattle Mariners, how they went bombs away versus the Astros to get above 500 for the first time this season. Then, well, you know.
Right.
All of that and more on today's Lidline Sports. But before we go any further, I want to thank you, man.
Oh. Hey, I didn't know this was coming. All right.
I want to thank you. You, in our preparation for the show, you said you wanted to talk about 30 for 30.
Yes.
The Lakers and the Celtics.
Definitely.
And because of my schedule and forgetfulness, I had forgot to set my DVR to record that.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I need to look it up to see when it's re-airing so I could set my DVR. And I was procrastinating on that and forgetting about that. And then you said, let's talk about it on today's show. And so that made me go and watch it on the ESPN Watch app.
Nice.
Had to download that to my iPad and started watching it. Oh my God, I was glued.
Bro, when I watched it a couple of weekends ago, I couldn't leave it.
I'm saying.
I spent the whole, 6 hours watching that thing.
You binge watched it all?
I binge watched it, and then plus, went to bed, woke up, and it was on again, and I watched more of that then.
Well, it's definitely something that you got to watch more than once.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about it for me, Pat.
Yeah.
There's a number of things going on in there that really stand out. For me, watching it in the beginning, they take it back and they start with the old Celtics.
Right.
Right. And the Bill Russell era.
Yes.
And I lived, not through that era, folks, but I lived through the 1980s Celtics Lakers. I was in college, 81 through 86, living in LA, and I lived through all of that, and it just took me back.
Right.
It just took me back to all those times, all those days.
I still remember where I was at watching those.
Really?
Yeah.
Where were you?
I was, for the 85 finals, I was in Cocoa Beach.
In Cocoa Beach, Florida?
Cocoa Beach, Florida, because I was in the Navy at the time.
Okay.
And our
You're
ship...
stationed there?
No, our ship, we were on our way, you know what, I can't remember. No, I think that was
I know exactly where I was then.
I know where I was. I just didn't remember our exact destination, but actually that was our destination. And we got there the day before that Sunday game where Kareem hit that sky hook and came down court, had his fist pumping.
Yeah.
That memory right there just was etched in my head.
I was torn through that whole 84, 85 Lakers thing. In Los Angeles, to be a Laker fan, there is a deep-seated hatred for the Celtics.
Yes. With good reason.
With good reason. I mean, because they couldn't beat the Celtics.
Exactly.
And they've had great teams.
Great.
Teams with Jerry West and Wilt on their squad and couldn't beat the Lakers.
Celtics.
Celtics, yeah.
Right.
Couldn't beat the Celtics. And so watching the 30 for 30 and them starting back with before black players played in the NBA,
right.
You got to give Red Auerbach some props.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I knew about Red. You know, he had a little show on. You remember Red on Round Ball when he was teaching techniques, how to do the pick and roll, how to do all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Yeah. And, Red Auerbach was cool. All right. But when you watch that, you see man, Red did everything for black people in the NBA. He hired the first, let's start it off like this. Drafted the first black player.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Hired the first black coach.
Yes. Player coach.
Bill Russell.
Yes.
Had the first team of all 5 black starters.
Yes.
Red. Hey, so Red is the reason why we playing in the NBA.
Hey.
So it knowing all that, I'm like, man. I mean, I got a little different feeling about the Celtics right now.
Right.
And I'm born and raised a Sonic fan, of course, but the Los Angeles Lakers because of all of my years living in LA and growing up through the Magic Kareem Showtime era and through the Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant era, living in L.A., there are 1B.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Not 2, but kind of 1B.
Well, I know the feeling because, like I said, I was in the Navy, so I traveled and lived in a lot of different places. And, when you live in a place, you kind of get an affection for the home team of where you're at. I did. I mean, I lived in Jersey, and so I started liking the Nets. I do like the Knicks, and of course, I've been liking the Yankees. But I even have a little affection for the Mets. For New Yorkers, that's abysmal because you're not supposed to like the Yankees and the Mets. But I'm not from there, so I feel that I had the autonomy to do that.
Autonomy, I like that word. What happens is, when you live there, you see all of their games on TV, and you develop a for the players, coaches. In L.A., it was the broadcaster, Chick Hearn.
Right.
And they talk about it. I love documentaries.
Yes.
Because
Me too.
Because you learn so much that you didn't know, but you were kind of aware of, but you didn't really know. And Chick Hearn is, I'll give it to you, Bob Blackburn of the Seattle Sonics was a great broadcaster.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame to me, broadcaster.
Right.
But there's been no better broadcaster in sports to me than Chick Hearn. And I knew Chick was great, but I did not know that the Lakers struggled to get 3,000 fans in the sports arena.
Isn't that something?
Before they hired Chick Hearn.
Yeah.
They went out on the road and came back and started averaging 15,000 fans.
Yeah.
Because Chick
Hearn.
Chick come down and turn the ball over, try to be fancy and turn the ball over, and Chick would go, oh, the mustard's off the hot dog.
Yes. And believe it or not, as a teenager, I had, affection for radio, always. And so I had my little AM, FM, broadband type radio, and so that my father had given me for Christmas. So I was able to pick up Warrior games on KNBR, and I used to listen to Chick Hearn. Even if the Sonics weren't playing, I would listen to Laker games back then. So yeah, I definitely know what you mean.
Yeah, Chick Hearn. When the Lakers had the game in the bag, Chick would say the game was over, like the eggs are in the refrigerator, the Jello's cooling.
All that. Yeah, he was something else.
This game was in the refrigerator. That's what he would say. He had all kinds of sayings. That man was something. But the rivalry that was just a great 30 for 30. I I have to watch it again. There's so much going on in there.
Yeah.
ML Carr was a nut.
He was. He was something else. He's always talking. And, and then, you know what? Here's something interesting I thought, too, when watching Cedric Maxwell.
Yeah.
With the players that he had around him, and he wasn't even the focal guy, yet he wins the MVP in 90 and 81 and 84.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. When you have Bird, McHale, Parrish, that type, and he's the MVP not once, but twice. But the sad part about it is the MVP's always got cars. Cars. And as soon as he wins, he gets a wash.
That's sad. And so thanks for bringing it around full circle for me. I was torn in between during that time, Lakers and Celtics. Lakers were my new team,
right?
Because I was living down there. But Cedric Cornbread Maxwell was my fraternity brother in Omega Psi Phi, and so I was rooting for him because you just didn't see, your fraternity brothers on that big stage,
right,
like that back then. And the funny part is, that was the first series, wasn't it? The first series that was televised live.
Yeah, because 1980, when Magic was a rookie and him and Jamal won that game at Philly, that people forget that game was on tape delay.
Yeah, I remember staying up at 11:30 to watch it. Start at 11:30 p.m.
Right.
On tape delay. So if you all have a chance, I recommend that you go to the ESPN Watch app and download Celtics Lakers 30 for 30. It is
incredible,
deeply engrossing. It is hard to stop watching.
You can't. And the good thing about it is they had limited commercial interruption too. They might have had one or two, and then they get right back to the show immediately.
Yeah, they
it
did.
Was that good, folks.
It was incredible to watch. Kareem was amazing, and the way they talked about Kareem, him being that unstoppable force with that sky hook.
Right.
And Kareem was an amazing person anyway. I don't know how many of you know this, but during the years 1967 to 1976 in college, you couldn't dunk the basketball.
Right.
Why?
Kareem.
They called it the Lou Alcindor rule.
Yes.
You couldn't dunk the basketball.
No.
And so that's the type of force that Kareem had on the game. Now take that full front forward to 2017 in the WNBA on the female side the other night. Did you see it?
I didn't see it, but I sure heard about it.
Brittany Griner dunked on the Seattle Storm.
Take that.
She came off a ball pick, and it was a 2-on-1. Teammate threw her the ball, and she went up and jammed it. And I'm like, really?
Hey, she got it like that.
The women's game has evolved to dunking. I mean, that was one of the reasons why I didn't want to watch it. I'm like, who's dunking? It's not really basketball if you ain't dunking.
And her teammate is now the leading scorer in WNBA history now, Diana Taurasi.
Well, congrats to Diana.
Yeah.
Switching to football, 29-year-old New Orleans Saints defensive tackle Nick Fairley has been ruled out because of a heart condition, Pap.
Oh, man. That's terrible.
When he came into the league, he had been diagnosed with an enlarged heart.
Right.
But now it's gotten worse, and the Saints won't let him play. It hasn't been said, or no one said, or Farley hasn't said if he agrees with the diagnosis and whether or not he should be able to play or not. I want to get your thoughts on this. What would you do? Some doctors are saying that he could lose his life if he plays.
You don't play.
But March, he just signed a 4-year contract worth $28 to $30 million.
Don't you have to pass a physical?
Including an $8 million signing bonus. So here's the deal.
Okay.
He passed the physical.
Okay.
Okay. but then they made him take some extra tests. The Saints,
because of his pre-existing condition, right?
right, and so now they're saying they don't want him to play. Now he's coming off his best year as a football player. I liked him coming out of Auburn. I thought he was going to really be good, and this was finally his best year where he had 6 sacks and 22 solo tackles.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like really hoping that he can play, but now they may not pay him.
And herein lies the issue.
Right?
Yes.
If he doesn't play, he doesn't
get paid.
So they're having to work that out. Now, if it was you, what would you do?
Man, health is something that you can't mess with. But, I mean, is he insured?
I doubt it. I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Yeah,
I haven't read anything about
him being insured. That's my issue. Is he insured? Because, as a team, on the team side, I can understand why you won't want to risk him playing, with this new updated diagnosis.
Yeah.
But on his part, I don't blame him. I can't fault him for saying, hey, look, I'm good. Don't listen to that.
Yeah.
Basically, is what he's saying. But
yeah, I wouldn't mess around with matters of the heart.
Literally.
Literally.
Yes.
He had already received an $8 million signing bonus and a total of $14 million in guarantees. What I think would probably happen is they'll probably negotiate a settlement.
Yeah, that sounds
where
right.
he doesn't get the whole contract, but a nice portion
chunk
of it.
Yes.
I hope that's what happens. I hope that the New Orleans Saints are on the up and up.
Right.
And don't just say, okay, if you can't play, we're not paying you. You're only going to get your $8 million signing bonus, and the rest of this you're not going to get. I hope that doesn't happen.
Right.
Speaking of millions, Derek Carr.
Oh, yeah.
Is now the highest paid player in NFL history.
$125 million.
5 years.
Mm-hmm.
$25 million a year.
Sort of. I mean,
he's going to get that.
Well,
5 years, Carr's young.
He is.
Why wouldn't he play for 5 more years?
Why wouldn't he? Unless he gets hurt, of course.
As long as he doesn't get hurt, he's getting that.
There's a breakdown on it, of course. $40 million of it's guaranteed at the signing bonus, 2017. $30.2 million is guaranteed for injury at signing. In 2017, he gets a roster bonus of $7.5 million. He's got another $7.5 million for 2018. And, so on and so forth. He's got a 2018 roster bonus, $20 million base salary in 2018, 2019, and 2020. So, whoa, that's a boatload.
Yeah. He says he's going to pay his church tithes and live on meager accommodations. Said his wife loves clipping coupons.
Was he watching Coming to America? Meager accommodations.
Those are my words. Stolen from Coming to America.
Busted.
He supplants Andrew Luck as the highest paid player in the league.
Good.
Andrew Luck, his contract is worth $122.97 million. Now, Carr opens the door. He probably won't be the highest paid player for long because they're going to have to pay Aaron Rodgers. He's up. And then Matt Ryan is up. And Kirk Cousins is also up.
Yeah, but Kirk's not getting that.
He's going to get something. Kirk is going to be up there, but he may not surpass him, but I guarantee you the other two will.
Because he hasn't led him anywhere.
Like I said, the other two will, Matt Ryan and Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So, but if I was Aaron Rodgers, I would wait till after Matt Ryan signs.
Yes.
And then get the highest contract because his contract will be predicated on Matt Ryan's contract.
Definitely.
Or Matt Ryan's contract will be predicated on his contract if Aaron Rodgers signs first. So Pretty much, that's what I do. Man, so much money out there. Remember in the 30 for 30, Magic signed 25 years, $25 million.
Yeah, we went nuts. We were like, what?
They were like,
was
what?
he the owner now? That's what they said, in the locker room.
That was a lot of money. Whew. I didn't realize that he had signed that contract so early in his career, though.
Right.
Right? I remember when it happened. I just didn't remember it was that early. It was like his second or third year.
Well,
right?
he won the title in his first year,
Yeah.
as we all know, and then he went to the finals. Well, they lost in 81
Yeah.
in the playoffs, but 82 they were right back in the finals.
Well,
83 they were in the finals.
I guess if you're going out every night with the owner of the team to the Playboy Mansion, you can pretty much ask for what you want.
That's for sure.
And get it. Anyway, back to Ice Cube's 3-on-3 league. Like the old school NBA, the big threes.
Got my ball, Craig.
Like the old school NBA, the big three league is also on tape delay.
Okay.
But it's on big time tape delay because it's a whole day later.
Oh.
It used to be in the NBA, it would just be after prime time or after the nightly news, which back then you only got the news
at
in
11.
the morning and noon at 11.
Right.
And so it would be 11:30 for the NBA game came on. Now the Big Three League, they're broadcasting on FS1, and it's a whole day later.
Where were they at? Do you know?
You got me. I don't remember where they were at. It didn't matter. All of their broadcasts are tape delayed. I mean, they weren't in Russia. It could be delayed. That's just the way it was.
What a scheme.
Did you say Latvia?
I said Vladimir. What a scheme.
Oh, okay. And so it's going to be a problem for the league if they can't get in a regular time slot where you can watch at the same time, especially now with the advent of the internet.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to know the score. And
Why are you going to watch?
Yeah. I mean, right now, people watch just to see what it looks like.
Right.
I mean, I wanted to watch just to see I watched it on my computer. Mm-hmm. Just to see what it looked like. I'm like, what? Let me look at this. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it was interesting, to see 3-on-3 with a bunch of old pros that you knew.
Right.
But then dudes was getting hurt, like Jay Williams, Jason Williams, White Chocolate.
You slipped on some fudge?
Hey, he was white chocolate in it before he got hurt.
I heard.
That's for sure. But then he got hurt, and then Kenyon Martin got hurt, pulled his hamstring.
Kenyon Martin was hurt always in the end when he played with the Nets.
Well, he said he couldn't believe he pulled his hamstring. Like, I played 15 years, and I don't remember just pulling my hamstring. I try to warm up like I normally warm up. I'm like, dude, but you ain't warmed up in 15 years.
Bro, he was hurt all the time, because I was back there. I was in Jersey when he was with the Nets, and every time I turned around, that guy was hurt.
Yeah, well, the Big Three is kind of like, watching
MASH.
That 40 and under league down at your local rec center.
Oh.
And their big problem is going to be two things. It's going to be keeping dudes healthy, right?
Major.
Keeping dudes healthy because a lot of them aren't in shape. Allen Iverson only played 10 minutes. He was 1 for 6.
Ooh.
And so Iverson said, well, he signed up to coach. He's a coach player, not a player coach. Don't get that twisted.
Okay.
So basically he's saying when he wants to stop playing, that's when he's going to stop and start coaching.
Well, if you 1 for 6 in 10 minutes, yeah, you might want to stop.
Well,
Got it.
He's already put the disclaimer out there, folks. Don't expect to see the old AI in the Big Three. The league consists of 8 teams. We talked about this before on Lidline Sports. Each with several former NBA stars that play games to 60. You have to win by 2.
Okay.
There are 4-point shots, although when I was watching, I never saw anybody take a 4-point shot.
Right.
They're 30 feet from the basket. It's a nice little chuck. I don't think them old dudes can chuck that joker up there like that.
I think Mr. Raouf can do it.
He probably can. And I've seen YouTube videos of him in the gym.
Yeah, me too.
Really getting buckets. So He probably could. There's a 14-second shot clock. And, of course, there are player coaches, of which Allen Iverson is not one. He's a coach player. Let's get that thoroughly understood.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to give it a chance.
Okay.
Because it happens in the summer. What else is there to watch? Right?
What?
What else is
What,
there
you
to
don't
watch?
like baseball? Baseball been very good to me.
Okay, Chico Escuela. Baseball, I like going to baseball games at night. That's about it. I mean, if the Mariners get into the playoffs, I will watch. Okay, other than that, I'm not watching baseball.
Well, then I guess you're not watching.
No. I mean, I just peek in at the score.
Right.
Here's what I love to do, though. If I need to take a nap, I will turn on some baseball, and I guarantee you I'm asleep before I watch 3 innings. That is guaranteed.
Wow.
The Mariners got above 500 and then went back south.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I have some thoughts on that, but I'll save it for a minute.
no, go ahead. Give us the Cliff Notes version.
I can't give you Cliff Notes.
You got a whole long, exhaustive thing that you want to
It's
say?
not exhaustive, not that long, but...
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Are we going to talk about that when we come back? We'll
Yeah.
talk a little Mariners when we come back.
Yeah.
And then after that, we'll get into the NBA trade rumors and the NBA draft.
Sweet.
You're listening to Lidline Sports with Granville, Emerson, and my partner, Renault Pepe Bean. We'll be right back.
Ready for part 2?
Yep. You're listening to Lidline Sports. I'm Granville Emerson with Renault Pepe Bean. Before the break, we were talking about the Seattle Mariners, and you got something to say. What you got to say, bro?
Hey, for those of you that have heard our show earlier this year, you can say, I said right from the beginning, the Mariners will hover around 500 all season, be it a few games up, few games down. We're at the end of June. Right now they're at 500, as I've said. So this is not unexpected to me. So, I don't get excited that they go on big long winning streaks and get to 2 and 3 games over 500, because that's not really much. Because they'll usually fall back down to 500 or a few games below. And they're going to be doing that all season, folks.
Bruh, you could have said that before the break. Folks, listen. I'm not really a baseball fan, but this guy across from me fails to see that the Mariners have been snake bit with the injury bug all season, and it's really a minor miracle that they're around 500 and only 2 games out of the wild card. That's the real story. Now they're getting healthy. They're getting their starting pitchers back, like King Felix and the other dude, Paxton, if he gets back to where he was before. But their bats have been pretty good all year. So all they need to do is make a late August, September run, and they're going to be in the wild card, buddy.
Yeah, that stuff you just said? Yeah, forget that.
How can you forget that? Those are facts, man. You can't throw facts out the window.
Sure I can. Okay, I'll give you, how about a fact for you? 2001. There's a fact for you.
No.
That's a fact
This
for
is
you.
an entirely
They haven't
different
been
season.
to a playoff game.
This
They haven't
is
been
an
to the
entirely
playoffs.
different season.
They haven't been to the playoffs since 2001. We're at 2017 right now. So, of course, my pessimism is accurate, bro.
I haven't been to Taco Del Mar since I got that burrito about 15 minutes ago either. I haven't been there in 2 years. What does that mean?
It means they ain't gonna make it this year either. That's what it means, bruh.
You better hope they don't make it.
Bro, I'll guarantee it on this station right now. I'll guarantee you they will not make it.
Pep is guaranteeing that the Seattle Mariners will not make the 2017 baseball playoffs.
They will not.
You heard it right here.
They will not.
All right. To the NBA trades and rumors.
Oh, yes.
The draft day trade that had everybody talking was Jimmy Butler to Minnesota for my guy Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, and the 7th pick, which turned out to be Lauri Markkanen from Arizona.
Well, people are high on that guy, actually. As far as winners and losers, a lot of people are saying that even though they didn't get the best player in the draft, Minnesota got the best player, period, a top 15 NBA All-Star, you could say, and Jimmy Butler. But I don't like the things that they're saying is that Minnesota fleeced Chicago and took them to school because they got Zach LaVine and Chris Dunn. They gave up on Chris Dunn pretty quick. Minnesota did, but I don't think people should be selling Zach short. I mean, that guy was coming on big time until he got hurt, but he's young and he will come back. And this guy is dynamite. I've seen him. Well, you know him personally, and you've seen him.
I coached him.
Yeah, you coached him
for 2 years.
Right. And I've only seen him. I've only been watching him myself since he was a sophomore in high school. And I told the partner I was with that this guy's an NBA player right now. Not defensively, of course, but offensively, he could step on an NBA court and do some damage.
Oh, there is definitely no D in Zach.
No.
in none of those letters.
No.
But I'm not sold on Jimmy Butler. What is he going to do? Is he going to help Minnesota get past Boston? Are they going to get past the Wizards?
Well, they are. They probably, looking at them on paper, with Karl Anthony Towns, because he's definitely a beast, and Andrew Wiggins. A guy like Butler might be the player that they need to.
What does Jimmy Butler bring to Minnesota that would make you say that?
Well, he's good defensively, for one thing.
Okay.
And he's a good offensive player. Do I think he's more dynamic offensively than Zach? No. But he can get you he can get you 30 on any given night, and he can definitely lock up players, and he's a veteran. So I don't think that Minnesota will ever get over the hump, so to speak. I mean, there's teams that I think don't have a chance, like Minnesota and Sacramento and things like that. But they did a good job on this one.
I don't see what Jimmy Butler, how he makes Minnesota better than the Chicago Bulls. I mean, I haven't. It's the same argument I have for Paul George. Everybody talks glowingly about Paul George. Everybody talks glowingly about Jimmy Butler. But what have they done to advance their teams in the playoffs? No. And I understand that you can't get past LeBron, but did they get to the Eastern Conference chip?
No.
Right? That's what I'm saying. I'm like, so Paul George got there one year, yeah, and everybody was talking about him like he was the next Kobe, and then nothing since.
Right.
Right?
Well, he got hurt, remember? That he had that gruesome leg injury, broke his leg.
Yeah.
So.
But nothing really since then. And so, I don't know. I like Zach going to the Chicago Bulls for Zach.
So do I.
I don't know what they're going to be like.
I don't think Thibodeau really cared for him, his game probably.
Well,
Thibodeau's a defensive guy, and Zach, as we have stated, doesn't do that.
You hit the nail right on the head. Because defensive coaches can't stand dudes that don't play defense.
Right.
I'll give the story I love to tell.
Please do.
There was a guy by the name of Reggie Theus.
Yes.
From UNLV.
Oh, yeah.
At this particular time, he led the league in scoring.
Yes.
For the Chicago Bulls. My Cleveland High School classmate, friend, Juwan Odom, was playing center for the Chicago Bulls at that particular time.
Right.
The Bulls come to L.A. Juwan calls me up, wants to go out. I pick him up from the hotel. We go out to this club in Century City. We get there, walk up. Reggie Theus is at the bar, like crying in his drink. Like, why is Kevin Lockery, the head coach of the Chicago Bulls? Why is Lockery doing me like this?
Mm-hmm.
Why is Lockery doing me like this? Kevin Lockery, a defensive coach,
Yes.
bench Reggie Theus, and the leading scorer in the league.
It's crazy.
Because he said he wouldn't play defense. In essence, ruined his career.
Yes.
Right? He never got to that level of prominence again.
Right.
Right?
And I loved Reggie Theus. He was
Everybody
fun to watch.
loved Reggie
He was
Theus.
fun to watch.
But Kevin Lockery didn't like him because he didn't play defense.
Right.
And so, same thing with Thibodeau.
Yeah.
Probably didn't like Zach because Zach, he's not a... And I believe in Chicago, if Dwayne Wade stays, and this is the key for Zach,
Yeah.
I believe that Zach needs Dwayne Wade to learn.
Right.
To learn how to be a star.
Yes.
To learn how to play and the importance of playing both sides of the ball.
Correct.
It's not that Zach can't play defense. He's just not a willing participant.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes,
He
I
has
agree.
all the tools
He does.
to play defense. He's long, he's quick, he's athletic. He can do that.
He definitely can.
He just has to have the want to.
You want to,
Right?
right.
And then also have somebody like Dwayne Wade mentor him.
Right.
Right? So if Dwayne Wade stays, I really, really feel good about Zach being in Chicago.
Right.
Right? And him developing into the star that Chicago wants him to be. Because right now, he is the face of the Bulls.
Right.
Right now. And so he has no competition.
Okay.
Especially if Dwayne Wade leaves.
Right.
Right? But if he stays, marketing-wise, it's going to be Zach LaVine, the slam dunk two-time champion, right?
Mm-hmm.
To sell tickets and bring people into the arena, not the aging Dwayne Wade.
Right.
Okay? And so here's his opportunity to get out from under Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Wiggins and make his name great.
Right.
Right? And hopefully at the same time, with marketing and whoever else they put together
Yes.
In the Chicago Bulls franchise, can develop a winner and get them back to some type of
And
prominence.
you know what? A sleeper might be Chris Dunn.
I like Chris Dunn.
He might be the sleeper because Minnesota gave up because he started at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And then Rubio came back, and listen, I've never been a Rubio fan, so I'm not going to get into all that. But Chris Dunn may have a much better opportunity in Chicago than he ever would in Minnesota.
Yeah, so I'm with that. Zach LaVine, you're my guy.
Oh, yeah.
And I know this about Zach, too. Zach's a hard worker. I was an assistant coach for Friends of Hoop at AAU team here, or still am. And Zach was on my team. And I remember the last game Zach played, AAU. He turned around and when he came out the game and said, now, about to go home and get on that Vertimax. He got on that Vertimax and became the two-time slam dunk champion. And so he puts in work.
Right.
And they say now he's also ahead of schedule on his rehab.
Good.
So that's a good indication of his work ethic.
Right.
And he wants to be great.
Yes.
Okay.
And and another key thing, he's young.
He's young. He's got his best days are definitely ahead of him. There's another trade, D'Angelo Russell and Timothy Mozgov
They gave up on him quick.
for Brook Lopez and the 27th pick.
Right.
You know why they gave up Mozgov? That had to be the worst signing in the last 10 years. They signed Mozgov for $64 million.
I remember.
Over
It was
4
It
years.
was like the Jim McIlvaine all over again.
So basically what they were doing is getting rid of the snitch and getting rid of the big contract.
No
Magic
shot.
said he got rid of D'Angelo Russell because nobody on the team liked him,
Nobody.
right?
Right.
Because you couldn't trust him.
No.
You know, if you play on a team, you got to be able to trust your teammates.
You must.
Right?
It's a must.
It's a must.
Listen, even as an 8th grader playing in junior high with your teammates, you know who to trust and who not to. There's some shit, even back then, you know who's kind of like, mm-mm.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah. And I said on draft day when they made that trade, look out for that 27th pick.
Right.
And the Lakers, I thought they did a great job in the draft.
They did, because at 27 they picked Kyle Kuzma of Utah, right? And then they took the 28th pick, traded that for the number 30, and got a number 42. So at number 30, they picked up a guy I know you like and I like, Josh Hart.
Yes.
I mean,
Villanova.
Man. And then this kid, Thomas Bryant,
Right.
you could stash him. He's
Yeah.
19, but that guy's got some skill.
6'9" athletic,
Yes.
runs the floor, shoots a three.
Yes.
Yeah, that guy is good. Magic, I like what you're doing.
Right.
I like what you're doing so far.
See, the winners and losers of the draft, you got Philly. They're a winner because they traded up and they got the guy they wanted, Markelle Fultz, as their point guard, and they needed one in the worst way. So that's a win.
Yeah, we'll talk about the winners in a minute.
Okay.
I want to talk about all this talk about Paul George. Paul George to the Celtics, Paul George to the Lakers, Paul George to the Cavs.
It makes good internet fodder, basically. All these rumors. For one thing, folks, you got to remember, he is not a free agent, okay? He won't be a free agent till next year. He's already said he is not signing back with Indiana. So, of course, here come all the flood of trade rumors. That's expected.
They've got to get rid of Paul George.
Yes.
They're going to get rid of Paul George.
Yeah.
I want to know from you, where do you think Paul George is going to land? Celtics, Lakers, Cavs?
Ooh. Man. I would say, Lakers probably the strongest because that's where he's from. And, when you hear about guys wanting to go back home and stuff like that, that may or may not be a good thing because, sometimes playing at home is not the best thing. But you got to give the Lakers probably the front runner on that, and then I would have to say, believe it or not, I'd say Boston over Cleveland, as far as that goes. Cleveland with that man. I heard a silly rumor today that the Cavs were talking about getting George, Wade, and Carmelo.
Yeah, I heard that too.
What?
I mean, all things are possible. They've been trying to. Everybody talks about that. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. I'm not sold on Paul George. I'm not. I mean, okay. I just think he's a guy that's in the right place at the right time, and I'm waiting to see him really be a upper. Not he's an upper echelon player, but an upper player. Like carry somebody somewhere, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Carry it. So here's a great example, Pep, of what I'm talking about. Okay, and all of y'all out there listening, you can relate to what I'm about to say. This is what I mean about a player like you say. Well, everybody's talking about this dude. Well, what has he done? Has he carried his team somewhere? Mm-hmm. Here's my example: Boston Celtics, Isaiah Thomas.
Yes.
Right?
Got you.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
You can point to that dude and say that dude carried his team way further than anybody expected them to go.
Absolutely.
Right? So
best record in the Eastern Conference.
I have not seen Paul George and I have not seen Jimmy Butler carry their team further than anybody expected them to go.
That's correct.
That's what I mean by that. And so that's that upper echelon of player.
Right.
Right? That player that takes your team somewhere like Magic winning the championship as a rookie.
Right.
Right? What?
I'm glad you brought that up. I got two things. One thing, I'm glad you brought up Isaiah because Isaiah is phenomenal, for one thing, and he indeed carried that team, and he made that team not only the best record in the Eastern Conference, but also the number one seed in the playoffs. It didn't work out because they lost to Cleveland. But that's where they got to. And now, because Isaiah is there, they didn't need Markelle Fultz or Lonzo or whatever. They got the point guard they want and need. So they were smart, as I had said earlier in our mock draft, that Boston's going to trade that pick down and pick up a scoring forward. So, Mr. Granville Emerson, what did the Celtics do?
They traded down. Like they did like the Seahawks.
And picked
Trade downers.
And picked up a scoring forward.
Yeah.
So, and another thing I wanted to mention is in the draft, a lot of teams pick players to stash them away. You could do that if you're a good team, a playoff team. But if you're a team that is mediocre and you do that, I think it's dumb. I'm going to say I don't like what Portland did. I mean, I like the player. Don't get me wrong. I just didn't think he should have came out. And if you're going to pick him, you don't pick him that high because he's not going to help Portland. Portland's a mediocre playoff team, but Damian Lillard is a star, and he needs help, him and C.J. McCollum.
Badly.
And I don't think they picked the guy that's going to be able to help them right away. I think they made a bad move.
Yeah. Well, they won't be the first ones to make a bad move.
No.
Some bad moves going around. Chris, CP3, Chris Paul has opted out of his contract.
As has Blake.
There's rumors that Houston, the Rockets are clearing space to bring Paul to Houston.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Well,
Can he play with James Harden? What?
I thought James Harden was their point guard.
Me too.
And, I mean, he played magnificent. For the most part. Except, listen, for the season he was great. Okay, so he fizzled out in that playoff game where they got blown out. All right, we get that. But all in all, James Harden was an MVP caliber player, and he played the position that he hadn't normally played. The coach made him the point guard and said, do your thing. And he did. So now you're going to say, okay, we need CP3? I don't know. What are you doing?
We'll see.
And you know what? CP3 is getting a little long in the tooth.
He is.
He can't stay healthy. So, I mean, what are you expecting from him?
Yeah. CP3, he's another dude. What have you done?
Right.
He's a good point guard, but he hasn't taken his team further than anybody thought they would go either. The NBA draft 2017 is over. We had some picks. Let's just do this with the time we have left. Tell me, who are your winners and losers, Pep?
Well, I mentioned before, Philly was a winner because they got the best player in the draft, so to speak. They had the number one. They traded up to get him.
Who?
Sacramento Kings.
Who was the number one pick?
Markelle Fultz.
From where?
University of Washington.
Okay. University of Washington. Markelle Fultz, that is a history maker.
Right.
The first number one NBA draft pick in the history of the University of Washington's men's basketball program.
And they also had the number one female player, WNBA player, in a WNBA draft.
Oh,
so,
yeah, that's right.
That's right. Kelsey Plum. So, UW, great job as far as individual go.
Absolutely.
For the men program, well, not so great job team-wise.
Yeah.
But I was just about to mention the Sacramento Kings had a phenomenal draft for them. Picked up De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox, my mistake. At number 5, I was surprised he slipped that far. But I think, that was set in motion because of the Celtic trade. You knew that when they traded down, they weren't picking him up. They were going to pick up a forward. I knew that. And so, but I'm going to tell you this. The New York Knicks will rue the day they did not pick up Dennis Smith Jr. They picked up the French point guard. I can't even pronounce his name. Sorry. No disrespect intended on that. And then Dallas picked up Dennis Smith Jr.
It's hard being a Knicks fan. That's all I can say.
What
it is
are
hard
you thinking?
Being a Knicks fan.
Phil Jackson.
They're at a rock bottom level. So, Lonzo Ball to the Lakers.
As expected.
Jason Tatum to the Celtics.
Good pick.
Josh Jackson to Phoenix, great pick for Phoenix.
Great pick.
De'Aaron Fox to Sacramento, I love it. I love it. I texted Elson Turner and I told him that we had the 3 players that they drafted in our top 10.
Yes.
We had De'Aaron Fox at 4.
Yes.
We had Harry Giles at 8.
Yes, and they got him late.
And we had Justin Jackson at 9.
Yes, and they
and the
picked him
Kings
up.
got all 3.
All 3.
He said we need to be on their staff.
Hey,
The Sacramento Kings.
we're not far. Only
They had a good draft. And they picked up Frank Mason Jr.
Yeah,
Right, with
Kansas.
the 34th pick.
Absolutely.
Man, they were doing
They hit the jackpot on the draft.
They were doing some things
They
in
did.
that draft. And you got, we talked about Orlando, Jonathan Isaac from Florida State.
Yes.
Laurie Markkinen to the Bulls, talked about him.
Yes.
Your guy that you talked about from France, Frank Ntilikina?
Yeah, good luck with that.
Whatever.
You know what? He averaged 7 points a game during his season. And then in the playoffs, okay, he erupted. He hit for 30 1 or 2 times. But I mean, really, you're gonna base the whole draft on a couple of games?
Yeah. Then Dennis Smith from North Carolina went to Dallas.
Yeah.
Zach Collins from Gonzaga. I was at Gonzaga at team camp when he got drafted. They were all happy about that.
Right.
I could care less, Mark Few, you sucker.
Yeah.
He walked past me again, didn't speak.
Yeah.
Man, I want to
Whatever.
pop him beside his head. Malik Monk to Charlotte. That's interesting. Jordan, what are you going to do with him?
Man.
Detroit Pistons, Luke Kennard from Duke.
No, I don't like that.
Utah, Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, I didn't like
Miami
that.
Heat, Bam Adebayo from Kentucky.
Yeah.
Kings, Justin Jackson,
Yes.
and Justin Patton from Creighton going
Right.
to the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
That's the draft. What's going down in the town? I'm going to tell you what's going down in the town, Pat.
Tell me.
Real quick before we go. The Huskies' athletic budget after giving Lorenzo Romar $3.5 million to say, holla,
Yeah.
they're in the red. They're a plus $2,000. So the reason why they were able to let Lorenzo go and pay him $3.5 million is because they went to the NCAA Final Four, and that brought in $29 million.
Ooh, nice.
Nice, right?
Yes.
So if y'all were wondering, how could the Huskies afford to pay Lorenzo $3.5 million?
You mean the women went to the Final Four, right? Or you
No, the football team.
Oh, the football. What am I thinking?
The football team.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I don't know
Absolutely.
what the women brought in.
Yeah, right.
You know, football's the cash cow.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, exactly.
Right? They
When you said Final Four, it kind of
the
threw me off.
football Final Four, they have that
Gotcha.
now, right?
Yes,
Okay.
you're right. College playoff.
Yeah. So that's how they were able to just pay Lorenzo and say, we'll
Outta
see
here.
you later, and hire the new guy that brought in Jay-Z's, officially signed Jay-Z's
Right.
nephew, Nazir Carter.
Mr. Carter.
So anyway, on behalf of my co-host, Renault Pepe Bean, thank you for listening to Lidline Sports. You can listen to Lidline Sports on Rainier Avenue Radio.world on Facebook, YouTube, and find us on Twitter at Lidline Sports. Join us again next week for more great sports talk radio on Lidline Sports. Sports as we see it from
Just below our lid.
Holla.